All right, here we go. Let's get into the questions, everybody. Being vote shamed. All right, before I read this, if you don't tell people who you're voting for, there's no way to be shamed. All right? I want to start a movement where somebody asks you who you're voting for, you should say, you should just tell them that that's rude. I don't answer rude questions like that. How dare you? How about you just go, how dare you? How dare you? What are you, taking a fucking survey? All right. As a matter of fact, I am. Oh, really? Is my vote in your little circle of the fucking world going to make you have a good prediction of who's going to win or lose? Shut the fuck up. All right. Being vote shamed. Dear Billy, the wise ass. This is the first elect. I like that. If I was a wrestler, that's what I would. If I was a manager, Billy, the wise ass. This is the first election I'm able to vote in. Congratulations. I'm 20 years old, and I've been listening to you since I was 13. Oh, Jesus. I would load your podcast onto an iPod and listen on the bus to school. I really appreciate you not regurgitating everything I heard elsewhere in my life. You're a Renaissance man, whether you like it or not. I got these young kids fooled. You know what? I appreciate that. You know. You live a little more life, you'd be like, nah, this is sort of the loud guy at a bar. I read a lot and listen to non-mainstream media. That's great. I think he meant to say I read. I don't know. It says I've R-E-A, and I don't know what it says after that. I'm just going to continue. I've made my own judgment about how debilitating the establishment is toward our country. The news does not tell us what is really going on with our country's finances and foreign affairs. This cycle has been going on for decades, and I don't want to be a part of it. I'm voting for a third-party candidate whose principles I agree with. My friends are telling me that I'm wasting my vote, and I can afford to do it because I'm privileged, which is why I have the audacity to do something like that. Because they're not white and they need you to vote the way they want you to vote. All right. Aside from that stuff there, I don't think voting for a third-party person that you believe in, that is actually an honest person and will hopefully stand up to the banks and the oil companies without getting whacked, I don't think that is ever a waste. And I always believe that you're encouraging more people like that to run for office. As far as what your friends are saying, it sounds like they're not white. If they're saying that stuff, I got to be honest, it's the guy who's in office right now is making them feel that way, which is what blows my mind about some friends that I have that are voting for Trump. And they're like, I just don't, show me an example of how he's racist, is like how they look at it. And it's just like, well, do you have any black friends? I don't know what to tell. What speeches are you watching? I can just tell you this. My biggest advice that I would give you is just don't tell people who you're voting for. And, you know, if your heart's in the right place and you're voting for what you want to vote for, then there's nothing wrong with whoever you're voting for. Okay? Straight across the board. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, third party, whatever the fuck you call it. I don't just... Somewhere along the line, people just started saying who the fuck they were voting for. Liberals, celebrities, you know, I don't know. Let me just continue reading this. My mother lost her business when I was in middle school, and we had to live with my uncle when the economy crashed and she lost everything. It wasn't her fault. Her landlord went bankrupt, and the bank sold the building to an investment group that used a loophole to condemn the building, put her out of business to end her lease, and then rented it out at twice the price the following year. Those fucking people are brutal. This has informed a lot of my views, and I don't apologize for it, despite being told I should. It's really unfair to be talked to like this, especially when the people telling me this have no understanding of things beyond what they read in the headlines on Twitter. I know you voted third party in the past. Has anyone in your family or colleagues ever tried to make you feel guilty for your beliefs? Oh, absolutely. I've always been told that I've been, throwing away my vote and stuff like that. But, you are privileged if you're white. It's just a fact. You just are. And I'm just going to tell you my point of view on this. Like, people misconstrue what that means. It's like, oh, we lost a house. We were broke. We went through this. We went through that. My dad died. That's like not what that's about. It means you can drive down the street and not have to worry that you're going to get pulled over because of the color of your skin and maybe lose your life. It's like that story I told you when my brother-in-law was driving across country and I was talking to him like he was a white guy, going, you got to do Route 66 and check out the fucking, the arch in St. Louis. And my wife ripped the phone out of my hand and had literally fear in her voice. And all my brother-in-law was going to do was drive across the country. And she was saying, only drive on the highways, only drive during the day, drive the speed limit, because she was worried that he was going to get killed just driving across the country. So that's what they mean. I used to think privilege. I'd be like, what are you talking about? I didn't know. I fucking paid for 90% of my college. I fucking worked my way through college. I got in this business. I didn't know anybody. That's not what they're saying. It's how you move through the world. Is what it is. It's not your how much money you had or if you went to a private school or not. It just means that you don't have to basically worry that you're going to get killed by your fellow countryman just for fucking how you look. That's what it means. All right, there you go. And I believe defund the police doesn't mean don't fucking pay them or get rid of them. As far as I understand it, somebody please give a clear definition. What I understand of it is we got to stop dumping all the mistakes of society onto cops and have them deal with the shit every day. Like, why are cops dealing with mentally ill people? They should be in institutions getting cared for instead of having the cops have to deal with that on top of all the other shit they have to fucking deal with. So I think that's what it meant. And for whatever stupid fucking reason, they called it defunding, which sounds to me like, hey, pay them less or don't pay them, which is insane. Almost as insane as me tackling these huge topics here. All right. Policy doesn't create opposition. Opposition creates policy. What the fuck? Got to read this 12 times. Policy doesn't create opposition. Opposition create policies. Okay. I got to take a sip of throat coat tea here before I read this one. I could read that 1,000 fucking times and I would never know what it means. Hello, Bill. I am an admirer of yours, and I think you put in a positive contribution to U.S. pop culture. All right, that was the most condescending first line ever. I think you put in a positive contribution to U.S. pop culture. Oh, do you? Was that what you think? I don't. I just think I'm an idiot that a certain segment listens to for whatever reason. I think my subject lines up with your philosophy in quotes, or at least it doesn't contradict it. I don't even know what dude, you're beyond me mentally. I don't know what that means. Policy doesn't create opposition. Opposition creates policy. This is like chicken or the egg. So if you oppose something, they create a policy to outlaw opposing it. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Can you expand on the idea that people don't really have genuine political opinions, but rather have an innate propensity to get into arguments, and that this is really what 99% of political debate in the U.S. and everywhere else and at every other time has been? Like, if my parents are liberals, I'm likely to be a conservative just to piss them off and vice versa. And if I'm not, what kind of a pussy am I? You know what I mean? No, because if you had parents that you liked, I think if your parents are assholes, you do stuff like that. Anyway, people are way less rational and way more emotional and confrontational just for the hell of it, right? I don't know. You're speaking vaguely or above my fucking brain. I don't know what you're saying here. I will say that, most discourse, is that the right word? It's just become people screaming at each other, which I've done. A couple of my relatives about politics, and I said like 12 times during it, we're not going to change each other's. This is such a fucking waste of time, and you still do it. I don't know. No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm just gonna. I don't know if I can have half the vibe that Travis Roy had when I met him that one time. I think you can really make the world a better place, despite if you don't like the person that's currently your leader. You know what I mean? I actually saw something fucking amazing today. I turned on the TV and a preacher was on, and he was really good, and I was listening to him. And he was saying the sum of your life and the impact that you have comes right down to basically the choices you make. And if you make positive choices, loving choices, that's the impact you're going to have on the world. And I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. I found a church. And then he goes, and when you accept Jesus Christ, I'm like, why do they always have to do that? Why can't they just stop right there before they introduce their guy that separates everybody? If you just accept this, if you just every religion has a fucking guy or a lady, maybe they don't have a lady, and then just stop right there. Because do I need to know the guy? If I did everything that you just fucking told me to do right before the Jesus Christ shit, even if I wasn't aware of Jesus, if the guy existed and is really the Son of God and I'm going to fucking meet the guy, I mean, if I don't know who the fuck he is, but I lived a great life and I spread love and positivity and I helped people out and had a positive effect, I'm still getting in the club, right? I don't fucking know. I was literally watching the TV going like, holy shit, I finally found my 700 club guy that I can get into this. And when you accept Christ, it's just like, yeah, I don't need that. I just need the first part. Now you're having me choose teams. In every religion, people say what that guy says, and then it gets to that fork in the fucking road, and then it's Yahweh, Allah, God, Buddha, and then somehow it divides people. What a surprise, right? What a surprise. People just start arguing, and then they fucking kill each other. I don't know. We're morons. All right, advice. Changing people around me. Hi, Bill. Big fan of you and your show. I've spent much of my COVID time listening and reopening my eyes to the manipulative rhetoric being spewed about men that I unfortunately have contributed, at least during my early adult years. As a result, I notice a lot of women my boyfriend is surrounded by, whether it's because they are friends or girlfriends of his, treat men and their men like garbage. Jesus Christ. Is this actually a woman writing this? This feels almost like I wrote it. Because of this, I don't feel comfortable being around them, because when I try to stick up for their guys, when they do nice things, they laugh at me and then put me down. It sounds to me like you're hanging out with assholes. My question for you is, how do I open the eyes of the women around me to the negativity they are exhibiting towards their significant others without stepping over the line? You can't. You can't. And you're smart enough to at least ask the question before you try to do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. And hopefully those guys will be smart enough to try to find a woman like yourself if the way you're presenting yourself is true. She goes on to say, I don't like seeing these women complain and pick on their men when they do everything for their women, including cooking, cleaning, fixing things. I think in their eyes, I must come across as very traditional, but I think treating your significant other the same way you want to be treated, if not better, is a sign of your upbringing and what kind of person you want to be in this world. I 100% agree. Every man I have had in my life has made me the person I am today, so why would I want to stunt the growth and progress of people around me by exerting my insecurities and taking it out on them? All right, this is written by a unicorn, male or female, the enlightenment of this. I don't know how to bring this up to my boyfriend either, because I don't want to disrespect him by pointing out that the women he surrounds himself with are not good examples of what a woman should be. Wait, so your boyfriend's hanging out with all these other broads? What, are they nagging him? They're nagging their... Wait a minute. Are you just talking about the girlfriends of all of his friends? Are you competing with them? What's going on? Now I don't know what's going on. My theory as to why they act like they do, My theory as to why they act like this may have to do with the fact that many of his female friends are really unhappy in their lives, either because they can't bear children or are in unfulfilling relationships and careers. This is starting to come off as, I don't know. How do I show them that inner peace and love for all is how you live a full and happy life? Many thanks, wise fellow ginger sage. All right. If you're the nice person you're presenting, rather than someone who's just being petty and competitive with the girlfriends of your boyfriend's friends, you just keep your mouth shut. Okay? This is not a problem for you to solve. It's none of your business, and just stay out of it. Or you can create a giant shit show by getting in the middle of it. You know, there's no fucking way. There's no way. There's no way to do that. All right? So, I don't know. If you're hanging out with them and they're fucking bitching about their boyfriends, I mean, why do you have to hang out with them anyway? Why the fuck do you hang out with? Go get some people who look at life the way you do and hang out with them, rather than hanging out with these fixer-uppers that you can't fix up because they think the way they're living is right. Does that make sense? I don't know. All right. We have a new category here in the Monday Morning Podcast of people who work with the general public. We have a top 5 dumb questions. Top 5 dumb questions people have asked you, whether you work at one of the few Blockbuster videos left, or if, I don't know, you work at a fucking Starbucks. All right, so here, this person wrote in, top 5 dumb questions, school volunteer. Hey, Bill, I'm a female. I love when the ladies write in. I'm a female college student that volunteers at local schools in my free time. And let me tell you, teens are dumb as shit. I was grading tests for a health class. A question asked students to define unsafe sex. And one kid wrote, sex during a hurricane. Now, that has to be the class clown. Nobody can be that dumb and that funny and not and that can't be that has to be on purpose. All right. We had a tornado drill at the school in which the regular procedure is to have students get into a windowless, secure room. One teacher mistook the alarm for a fire drill and brought the students outside. Oh, boy. There's one girl with hippy-dippy parents that always want me to admit the earth is flat. One day she tried to disprove axial rotation by saying if time zones were real, California would have warned Hawaii about Pearl Harbor. What the fuck? Wow, dude. It's that is so dumb. I got dumber reading that, going like, no, wait, you're going the wrong way. And then I was like, no, they are going the right way because they would be ahead of time. That is so fucked up. So Pearl Harbor would be on the news in California before it happened in Hawaii, so then they could say, hey, man, we're 3 hours in the future, so we just to give you a heads up, the Japanese are coming. Wow. That one takes the cake so far. Hippy-dippy flat earth girl also once said to me, if we can really go to space, how come astronauts have never been to Earth? I don't even know what that means. I was moderating a debate on gender norms between a dillweed and a stoner. I don't know what a dillweed is. A dillweed asked, how come only men have to take paternity tests? No one asks a mother to prove that a baby is hers. Jesus. All right. FYI, most of these kids are really sweet and will probably do great things someday, except for hippy-dippy flat earth girl. I predict she'll drop out within a few years. Thanks and go fuck yourself. Wow. All right, here we go. Top 5 dumb questions. We got a pilot. Nice. I'm a 24-year-old pilot for a commercial airline. Look at this person crushing life. They used to fly corporate. And I wanted to share my top 5 dumbest questions from the general public / celebrity community. Are you sure you guys can handle the wind? At the time, I'm 21, still baby-faced, and supposed to be flying this 40-year-old typical hard-headed masshole from Boston to the Vineyard just for dinner. He had his 85-year-old mother and his wife and his 9-year-old daughter. The winds were gusting to 40 knots and moderate to heavy turbulence forecasted. I warned him that it was going to be unpleasant and maybe they should reschedule. He said to me, you could be my son. Are you sure you can handle the wind? Okay, so he's saying you're young. And it's okay to have concerns about this. So far, it seems all right. I responded with, I'm not worried about my abilities. I just don't know if this is the kind of experience your daughter would want to experience. Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ. Why would you do that to your kid? Fast forward 30 minutes later. I've never been more excited to hear the sound of 4 people puking in my life. The other pilot and I looked at each other, and all we had to do was smile. Needless to say, they spent the night at the Vineyard, and we left. Can't you just fly above the wind? Similar situations to the one above. Well, aren't they asking for smoother air? I don't know. Are you sure the weather isn't bad? My brother says it's nice at his house in Danvers. The guy proceeds to show me a picture on his phone of blue sky that he got sent from his brother. RVR was down to about 400 feet. What does that mean? I don't know. RVR, is that cloud cover? Jesus Christ. Wait a minute. I got to look this up. Aviation RVR. Runway visual range was down to 400 feet. Oh my God. Okay. Where's baggage claim? I look above my head and there's a big yellow sign that says baggage claim. Do you even fly the airplane? Parentheses, I'm a first officer. Yeah, we take turns each leg. Really? I just thought you sat there in case the captain dies. He writes, yikes. Dude, these are great. These are great. From your fellow New Englander and Irishman, I love the podcast and always listen on long sits between flights. Hope you get on a flight and the little ones can come up and nerd out up in the cockpit. P.S. Helicopters are way harder to fly than airplanes. As always, go fuck yourself. That's amazing. Jesus Christ. Can't you just fly above the wind? All right, top 5 dumb questions, 911 EMT. Okay, I like how the way these are set up, Andrew, how you got these basically, each job gets more and more intense. All right. Hello, Mr. Burr. Hello, Mr. Burr. Big fan and longtime podcast listener. Thank you. I know you are asking for the top 5 stupid questions, but I am sharing with you my top 5 stupid reasons why the public has called. Now, okay, that's okay. You can adjust it. You can improv here. Top 5 reasons the public has called 911 as an emergency. I've been an ambulance operator for close to 3 years and have my stories, but these are the top 5. Number 5, wife called 911 because her husband was eating dog food. Gross, I know. He was apparently trying to tell her that her cooking was shit and he would rather eat dog food. This wasn't a handful of kibble, neither. It was straight out of the can, wet dog food. Wow. Number 4, man called 911 because he was choking on food. All right, well, if he can talk, that means he's not choking. He can breathe, right? Well, you might think that is an emergency call, but here is the twist. He was choking the day before and called 911 to have us explain to him why he was choking. He wanted us to take him to the emergency room so the doctor could explain to him the medical reason why he was choking on food. This was a 40-year-old man. What the fuck? These are making me feel better about myself. Number 3, a woman called 911 because her electricity went out 5 minutes ago. We advised her to call the electric company. Number 2, a woman called 911 because she wanted us 2 EMTs to force her 2 daughters to help her clean the house. These daughters looked to be in their late 20s. In her defense, the house was very dirty. Wow. Number 1, a man called 911 because his mom is too fat. When we arrived, he asked us to give his mother medication that will somehow magically melt her fat away forever. That's in quotes. These kinds of calls makes for good stories, but takes us away from the public that actually needs us when seconds counts. Anyway, big fan and congratulations on your beautiful family. Your friend on the boo-boo bus. That's great, the boo-boo bus. All right, what do we got here? I got some reads here. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff. I got reads. I got top 5. You know, your top 5 dumb questions if you work with the public that people have asked you. And I always throw myself right on the fucking... I jump right on the grenade. I always mention this. I went to Joshua Tree, and I asked the park ranger, where is the Joshua Tree? Which, for those of you on the East Coast, like where I'm from, that's like being in New Hampshire and asking somebody, where is the elm tree? All right, other fans from Egypt. Oh, shit. I might have to do Comedy Cairo coming up. Hey, Billy, you bald-headed cunt. I love it. I love that there's somebody in Egypt that has a sense of humor like that. God bless you. I'm a 26-year-old guy from Egypt. I heard on your last episode about the Egyptian architect that listened to 12 years of Monday Morning Podcast in 6 months. I also graduated as an architect, and your podcast was like my friend during my sleepless studying days. Who would have thought my dumbass podcast is helping architects over in Egypt? And I listened to you, and I got a dumb question for you. I got a touristy question for you as far as the pyramids go. So when you're an architect, you must study the pyramids. Is part of any of your training, do you have to design a pyramid, or is that just the dumbest? Is that like you saying, hey, you're an American and you're in architect school, do you have to design a fucking, I don't know what, goddamn, I don't know, McDonald's sign or some shit? I'm trying to think of something. What is tourist? Do you have to design a Statue of Liberty? No, France did that. I don't fucking know. And I listen to you now as I work as an interior designer. I just want to thank you for the laughs. Don't worry. He goes, I just want to teach you some Egyptian cuss words you can use. I hope I say this right. Kos Omak. C-O-S space O-M-A-K. Kosomak. That means your mother's cunt. Eben Shamorta.